Hello and welcome to Deconstructing the Construct, episode number 70. It has been a very action-packed 3 weeks since the last Deconstructing the Construct, and I'm going to do my best to put this all together for you in chronological order. And you can put the pieces together for yourself in a way that makes sense for you. I know what it means for me and the picture that it's all formed for me, but you may get something else out of it that's relevant to you. So I need to take you back to September of last year. There was a conversation with those from home where we were told that it seems as if everything has stopped. Everything is in a standstill. That even universal source had stopped moving. There was also mention of something new. That they didn't know what it was. It wasn't good or bad, it was just new. It was nothing to be... that ultimately it had a very, very good feeling and it was a very good thing, but it was so new that they didn't even know what they were looking at, but they could feel it. Apparently Lilu and some of her friends were freaking out because they didn't know what it was. It was so new and they didn't know how to explain it to us. But those that we were speaking with said, it's all good. It is just something new from source. So we're taking you back to that. That was September of last year. Now moving forward to Friday the 25th of January. Using yellow rose for Texas analogy, the east and west, one of the members has a very good sense of those directions and those teams. The East, he says, are very logistic-driven. They're the ones handling a lot of the tech, the procedures and protocols for how this is all working. And that as at the 25th, they were very, very happy with the way something that had gone down and the way things were happening. There was also the start of people starting to share dreams well beyond the members, on YouTube, on Facebook and other platforms, of dreaming about cities of light, seeing them off into the distance. In some cases it was up in the skies, going there, flying there, jumping there, just observing them off in the distance. Then move forward to Monday the 27th of January. One of the members woke up with the words, 27 is the end of 27. Now there's a lot of interesting things to say about the number 27, depending on what your personal bent is. It is known as the Trinity of Trinities. It is apparently the year of 27 BC that the Roman Empire began. There are many, many, many significances to the number 27 in the Bible. 27 is considered the perfect cube, 3 times 3 times 3. J. Bohm called 27 the number of death. It represents the evolution tending to unify the duality, according to Renee Allende. According to Alfred Wason, 27 is a lunar symbol, indicating the light in the darkness. It's the symbol for the divine light. From a physical perspective, we've got the human skin cells regrow every 27 days. We've got 27 bones in the human hand. And we've even got, get this, the average human ejaculation is 27 miles per hour. But we've also got the sun rotates at its axis every 27 days. We've got the moon orbits the earth every 27 days. Mathematically, there's just way too much to go over with the number 27. In Hindu astrology, they divide the sky into 27 lunar mansions. That, like I said, too much to talk about in regards to the number 27. But the words that were received were 27 is the end of 27. And then we go to the next day, Tuesday the 28th of January. On the members' call, we were brought back to this feeling, this intuitive kind of idea that in this construct, in this game, there are a limited number of storylines and characters to play. And none of them have ever actually been played out to their end. None of them have gotten to the point of the end and they lived happily ever after or whatever. Because the storyline's complete, so does this place. So the feeling that now we were being projected forward, moved, or allowed, whatever the word it really is, to actually play out those storylines and end them. It was also the day that elephants, and 3 elephants more specifically, symbolically was prominent, that began, as did hearing voices, both human and animal, and certain noises in your environment, and there's no one or anything there to cause them. Now, Friday the 31st was the very strong feeling that the AI is no longer in control of much of this construct at all, and getting less and less by the day. The free will program was running alongside the freedom program for about a year, and now the freedom program is actually predominant. The bullshit, the fuckery, all of that crap that we're still seeing, I feel, is those people who are involved in this stuff operating on their own. They're not taking orders from above. There is no above to take orders from. They're not even really getting it from the AI programming anymore. It's what's still running in them. It's their fears, it's their virus, it's their pathology and psychopathy. It's their programs, it's their stuff. It feels very much like everyone's operating on their own accord right now. Now move forward to Monday the 3rd of February. And this began a very interesting, it's been really interesting since then. On the evening of Monday the 3rd of February, it was a very interesting night's sleep. Lots of tossing and turning and waking up, mumbling and talking in my sleep, feeling like I was struggling against something, like being held down and trying to get up. And my head sweating. Not my whole body by any means, just around the head, and there was a very particular smell that went with it. And on the Tuesday morning, the following day, I sat down to do the other aspect of that was feeling mentally fractured. It had me thinking at one point, wow, this is actually what it feels like to go mad, because I was feeling, hearing, sensing as if there were 4 distinct mental tracks running in my head. Voices, sounds, nothing, couldn't make out conversations or anything, but it was as if there was 4 distinctly different people in my head. When I woke up Tuesday morning, it had subsided somewhat for the first hour. When I sat down to do the members call with everyone, I was going in and out of that feeling, and the coldness started. And I'm in Australia, it's still summer, so it wasn't the weather, and it was a bone-chilling cold. There was just no getting away from it, no getting warm. I sat here wrapped in blankets and stuff for a couple of hours, went and had a shower to warm up, took a while, had a cup of tea, and once I'd warmed up, that was it. It hasn't come back. But also during that, there was a distinct sensation of this tightness and tension around my head, around the top of my head, like I was now having a skull cap on, and feeling reconnected or connected to something, and actually seeing myself in a tube. It felt like being at the base of a tube full of light that went, and there was a very strong sense of something very positive at the other end of it that I was being connected to. It did feel like me. It felt like a bigger aspect of me that I was actually being reconnected to. The restlessness, the struggle, the sweats continued Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. The sweats has eased off, but there's still waking up during the night. There's still a little bit of a sense of struggle, but it's slowly easing. On Friday the 7th, it was a lot about numbers. I had a feeling that the following week, February the 14th, would be significant, as well as February the 29th. And the number 528 has come up for us before. It was actually the date of Lilu's poem back in 2017, was May 28. So 528 as a time, as a date, as a frequency, continues to come up, and it was really big on that day as well. Moving forward now to Tuesday the 11th of February. On the call, there was the distinct feeling of, now I've been saying for years since all this started, that it feels like we're going backwards through the events, backwards through time. There was the distinct feeling that we had stopped going backwards and we're now moving forward, which may tie into the previous September message that everything had stopped, followed by something new coming in from Source. There was also a very strong feeling that the virus, as I said before, it had stopped. It's not as in control as it was before. There was another level of awareness around all of that, which is that its ability to self-replicate and repair and regenerate has been gone for some time, but we couldn't actually really get that until it stopped happening in our own bodies. So it feels like, in a nutshell, that the virus has stopped being able to replenish itself or replicate itself or regenerate itself within our own bodies now. However, I do feel that the seed of it is still there. It's in our, because it's deeply embedded in our code, cannot be removed. It'll be something that we leave behind. So it's just running constantly. And I do believe it sits in the pancreas, but it can no longer work its way through via the pancreas, through the entire body and the organs and the nervous system and what have you. So its effects are pretty minimal, but we are still in the process of purging all that excess, and we do that physically, mentally, emotionally, and energetically. A couple of side notes. I did say before Christmas that I felt a unifying event was coming. And I thought it was going to happen before Christmas, but nothing came that matched that feeling. Until, you've also got to bear in mind, I say that I do believe, I say it all the time, that what is happening in the energetic has to play out here. It has to play out in 3D. We see it play out around us. And that the politics is the arena. The State of the Union address was, to me, the unifying event. The aftermath of the State of the Union address is continuing to be a unifying event. The other thing is, why is everyone focused on America? Because you've got to look at the templates. We're dealing with templates. we're talking about freedom versus free will, sovereignty versus slavery. So the American template was built on freedom. You couldn't have a movement like this coming out of a country like Australia, whose template in this most recent of corporate resets is one of slavery, of prisoners, of convicts. It doesn't work. It has to come from that template. It's tapping into that template. Another thing that I speculated last year, and I feel like I'm seeing more and more evidence that it could potentially have legs, this theory, is that I do believe that Trump may not be holding the position of CEO of the corporation of the United States. He may well be sitting in the original republic position. As you all probably know by now, there is an original template, of which the corporate template has been completely overlaid. And it may well be that a lot of the appointments that he's doing are actually taking up those original positions too. I'm not sure. It would depend on a few things. But if you look back through history, JFK, George Washington, and Hoover also didn't take a wage, even though your Constitution demands they do. They've given it to various charities and what have you. There's just something about the way those in corporate positions are handling him or not. On a more personal level, dealing with him. And that includes the corporate or the Crown, other countries, governments, all of it. So there may be something to that. Okay, back to the timeline. Now we're on to Wednesday the 12th. One of my friends and one of the members who has the ability to kind of go into a space and do automatic writing, really allowing the bigger part of herself to come through. Did a little exercise and came through with the following message. I'm taking the highlights out for you, the things that feel relevant to the collective. To transform is to die to the old ways and to rebirth into a new life of possibilities. You are closer to your end goal than you even realize. To be touched by the virus was a known understanding before you entered this realm of experience. It has been more difficult than any of us knew it would be, but the strongest of you have fought the hardest of the battle for the ultimate liberation of humanity. This being said, it was also individualized and magnified, and itself replicated like a disease in a petri dish, which was not known before you entered here, the originals to this experience. Therefore, there has been much to address, and was for this reason a much slower process to bring this to an end. Although it is close, you are still wearing the distorted effects of the energies, and they have impacted and manifested in this, your current situations. The unraveling and acknowledgement is not just for yourself, but it has a ripple effect for those in need of the same opportunity to recognize the program in place and to address it if they so choose to. For some, they will appreciate the window to see through and to be able to call it by name and do the internal work that will liberate them from the virus as you have known it. But for others, it will still be confronting, and this will create disconnection, bringing up their fear and retreat into the duality program itself. All will know peace eventually, and each human heart will be cleansed when the time is aligned for them. Now that the clock has stopped, you can breathe and recover your own fractals and repair the damage to your spirit and begin to experience the life force of love flowing through your own lives as you play these final days out. Trust that as a part of the all, there is only love in action. Therefore, love will pave the way forward. Trust, a word that, if understood, stands for so much more. To recognize your strength together equals the all. Trust, love in action. As I said, that was Wednesday the 12th that message came in, and the reference to now that your clock has stopped took me back to July of 2018 when we received a message from home that the clock has stopped. And as I said previously, I feel like we've been seeing what I'm calling the deltas, from previous messages. So that was bringing me up to, so July 2018 was now, okay. The next morning, Thursday the 13th of February, I received a message from someone who's not part of my members group, but had been experiencing the same thing I had the previous few days of a night, and the sense of struggle, the constant waking up, the sweats, the mind fracturing, but the biggest takeaway for him was the sense of something new. There was something new or somewhere new, and that took me back to September of last year. So what I mean by that is the time difference between the messages and what's playing out was getting shorter and shorter and shorter. It's like we were speeding through the last few years, if that makes sense. I hope it does. Sorry, you can probably hear my cat now. She's purring like crazy. So, Thursday evening, Thursday the 13th of February, something quite odd happened energetically. It was about 8 o'clock, 8:30 Sydney, Australia time on the 13th, if that sort of correlates for anybody. I started to feel unwell. There was a lot of pain in my upper back. Reached out to a friend who has the ability to tap into me quite easily, energetically. And we both saw something that is quite unusual. So from my perspective, I was in black. I was just surrounded in black, and I could see a black, what looked like a frequency wave, a very dense frequency wave right in front of me against the black backdrop. So both black, but I could still see this wave. But I couldn't move. I was quite stuck. From her perspective, she was standing on what you would call a platform of light. And there was a huge crowd of people behind her. And it took her a while for her eyes to adjust, but then she could see me in the blackness and stuck in this frequency. She couldn't move forward, so she had to energetically sort of reach out and grab me. Now, we had a couple of really interesting experiences because I would feel something physically, and within a second she would go, "Oh, this happened." It always correlated. I could feel myself pulling or being pulled against this frequency. I then felt a pop and actually heard a pop in my back. And again, a second later, she went, "Oh, you just popped out." I was then pulled, sort of retractor beamed onto this white platform, and was then able to turn around. And I moved past her and into this crowd. From her perspective, she was then seeing what looked like tubes of light coming down into this blackness. There were beings inside the tubes from above, and there were beings coming up the tubes from below. Her takeaway, the feeling, was that the larger, lighter beings in the top of the tubes were what I call the big self, home self. And they were pulling up fractals of themselves through these tubes. And then, once connected, would move across and both disembark on the white platform. And depending on the state, the condition of the smaller fractal would depend on which direction they went off into. And some of them were in very bad shape. The messages, the telepathic interactions that were coming through from a friend were, the pull has begun. These are amongst the strongest of you, which shocked her considering the state some of them were in. I was looking into what had gone on for me in that and why I was stuck. And the answer was, you accepted a false offer. And really didn't get what that was about for a minute until I had a realization that it was, and this is how subtle and simple it is. The false offer was a thought. To believe something, to believe that a person thinks and feels a certain way. And I believed it, I bought into it, I accepted that offer, and that's why I got stuck. When that realization happened, the belief disappeared. I felt that energetic connection between myself and that person completely shift. And I just, word of warning, any thoughts, ideas that come that are not of and in love is an offer to accept something other than love. And if you choose to believe it, you're accepting an offer, which is likely false. And it can be that easy. And it's not going to stop anything. It's not going to mean you get forever stuck or stay here or any of that stuff. It's just that it makes the whole journey harder. The other thing that came out of that experience was this realization that these fractals of us that we are starting to pull are connected to our physical bodies through the spine, the skeletal system. And the sensations in the spine, the shoulder blades, the lower back, and the middle back can be quite painful. I'm hearing from a lot of people that this is being experienced over the last 2 weeks, as is the sensation of the skull cap. So again, looking back at the series of events in this chronological order, the sensation of the bone-chilling cold, the 4 aspects of myself running in my own head, may well be the 4 fractals that were leaving. The sensation of like the skull cap, and seeing myself in this shaft of light all seemed to culminate in this experience on Thursday, the 13th. And during it, the message was also received that this is the most delicate part of the operation, because the strongest aspects of us are going first. The image I was given was, it's like, somebody laying down on the edge of a cliff trying to pull somebody else up. The stronger person needs to be on the cliff edge doing the pulling. So the strongest aspects of us are going first in order to reinforce and strengthen and heal the greater part of us, and therefore it gets easier and easier. We've talked before about how locked in we seem to be into these bodies. And what seem to be watching that play out now is potentially aspects of us are actually leaving them. So there's that. Other things you might be experiencing is extreme exhaustion. Again, like just super tired, yawning. I do that too. And being highly emotional, out of the blue, and like very suddenly, for no apparent reason. Which leads us to Friday the 14th of February. I was on a call with all the members, and for the first time in quite some time, Home came in. I'm going to show you what they said.
140 for Connect.
900.
Your work begins now.
144 Connect. We are now starting the exit of Realm 7. All family collectives return to the meeting rooms of your members. Source has opened the new. Any members of the pods begin the awakening. Members outside start with 33 negative pull. Pods reset to 0. Wait for the all to begin the pull.
This will take a while. Please do what you need to be your mush mind, the green one said.
Let's start from the beginning. Creation, the game of introspection. For the expansion of the all, we all agreed to allow the all to immerse itself into reflection of self. Every moment has never happened. As all creation out of the all has been a simulated construct, one infinity flat plan of different pocket realms playing the same life game. Each creation was set with a clock and exit. No soul was in danger and no one ever gets lost. This is a simulation creation of fear reflecting itself into the all of lost. Your clock has stopped. Now the pull through the center from which will begin. Your memories shall return. Slowly start from this day further. Through your memories, you shall exit. The key has always been within. The game is within. Nothing is real. Just a projection of your beliefs and shared beliefs on an infinite flat construct. You have always been. Your state of being is creation of one's will.
Hello, fellow travelers. I am Oizo. I shall be taking over with the controls of this operation. My clan have set pods in place to energetically pull the soul through the plasma wall of the body, keeping the soul in place. We have been given the okay from all. Please forgive me, my patience has been tested for what you guys have been through. You are part of the strongest souls in our realm. We are unable to act without the okay from you all, as this would harm the soul. Pulling out is just as hard as it was coming in. Everything from your realm is a very low vibration of home, a copy, a very bad one at that. We see things ahead of time, which is why we act first. They have to slow for my clan, as I was part of this energetic trap. We are working now, you can see our history in your past, now we are changing it now. 1679, 1849, 1979, 2012, 2015, 2020. Our cities and army are in your skies. I now walk beside you, my fellow soul family.
Okay, as I said, that was February the 14th for me. Those messages came in over the course of about 8 hours, I'd say. Now it's obviously completely in alignment with what we energetically witnessed the night before and got the night before. And from all multiple reports from others out there on the internet, many over the last week or two have felt that something has begun. What we don't know is a time frame, how long this takes, but there does appear to be a process in motion. There is more to come with this conversation. There there is a lot of energy at this end, physically, energetically being felt. We know they're around, but this is a continuing conversation. So that's all I have for now, although it feels pretty big to me. And I hope this may help with some of what you might be getting intuitively or even experiencing physically. The things that have helped have been to reinstate, reaffirm, I am love in action, to surrender to this process, to know actually what's come out of that message is this understanding. We've been told many times the keys are within, and that it is our memories that is the key. Because this really is nothing more than an extremely lucid dream. And we have to wake up in the dream and from the dream. And if you've ever had a lucid dream, you know that it's when you realize it's a dream, you can wake yourself up. But it's a visceral feeling. It's felt throughout your entire body. It's no good for us to just mentally, intellectually understand this is a construct, this is a matrix, nothing is real, place is full of bots, all that stuff. It's an intellectual understanding. It has to be deeper than that. And perhaps the only way to get to that place is by remembering our real lives, our real homes, our real families, our real environments. Just like you do when you're in a lucid dream here. That appears to be the key. And our memories are in the process of returning. That's part of this. So that may be something else that comes online for you too. Okay, thank you. That's all for now. See you next time.